Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's time for our weekly painting progress. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be the last weekly painting progress with this here camera that is very uncooperative. So yeah, should have a new one, and I'm going to have to figure that out. And at least for these videos, which I do tend to shoot on the weekends before Mondays, other things come and go as my whims decree. But yeah, looking forward to that. So let's get on with it. I got a bunch of stuff from Mr. Sparkle Trout here. This first model comes to us from Titan Forge Miniatures, sister line, their Cyber Forge miniatures, obviously. Trying to remember, this is like one of their specialist commando dudes. I thought it looked pretty cool. I think with a little bit of work, and especially depending upon how you paint it. Oh, these are like wire cutters. At first I thought it was a pair of swords, but okay, wire cutters make more sense since he's kind of like an engineer dude. Okay, I get it. Came out pretty good. And accompany him, I'm seeing some 5 parsecs in both of our futures, especially once I'm done with school. This is an Anomaly Hunter from Dork Factory Miniatures, and we had quite an argument over what is going on with his legs. Is he wearing capris? Are those socks? Leggings? Jeggings? I don't know. Skin? You be the judge. Definitely quite a fancy dressed sort of character. I do like the white for the faceplate. I was thinking chrome or silver might work as well. If you haven't checked out Dork Factory stuff, do give them a look. Quite some interesting pieces in their collection. The next two are both from Print Minis. Our smaller friend here is a Helghast. Very shades of Wolfenstein. And the Helgrim. Not the most cheerful of fellows. He's on a 40mm base, it looks like. Everybody else on 20s. You know how that drill goes. So that's what Sparkle Trout got done. Excuse me, I'll chug some coffee here. I have quite the eclectic assortment of things finished, so sit tight. The first two models we're going to show off, I don't think I showed them last week, and I pretty much finished them last week. And if I did show them, my apologies, but I'm going to show them again. This Bullet Hair Witch comes to us from Zealot. And while she is a bit thin and small in comparison, I guess she's not that small. She felt small because when I got her and when I built her, it was at the same time as a bunch of the Bestiarum designed Minotaurs. And when you have those big hunks of resin, I think everything else feels quite puny and diminutive in their presence. So that might explain that. And the other model that we got done around the same time was from Printera. And I don't remember if I showed this guy off, but their stuff is so different and unique. I mean, really, if you want something that nobody else is doing, they're a good one to look at. So they had these Indonesian scroll guardians, if I recall correctly. And you can see he's got the scroll there on his back. They were like the Samudra. And so everything had a very strong Indonesian flair. He's got like that barong looking head on his gun thing. I could imagine you could use these for all sorts of stuff. Eventually I should have a video on a bunch of the Printera models I've been accumulating slowly but steadily. Use it as a Stormcast was my first thought. I think I was just saying. They have a few of the other models with the Chris, and the crossbow makes me instantly think of like Vanguard Hunters or whatever they were called. But he's on a 20mm base. And their stuff is quite unique. Another model from them. Now, this model I printed a while back, and let me be very frank that it's an ugly model, and it's not Printera's fault. This is my fault. This is the model that finally convinced me, yeah, I need to just suck it up and go and change the print screen. You can see there's just some really, really bad artifacting and lines is cut into it. And I was like, eh. I hadn't realized that when I first started painting. And from a distance, I think it looks okay. It's when you get really close up, you can see I just did an awful job printing her out. This is one of the Exiled from Printera. And most of their monthly Patreon and My Mini Factory Tribe things, they do like this whole versus thing. So when they had these girls, it was like Egyptian flavored Tao, for lack of a better term. And like I know April was more of these Exiled with a bunch of beastmen versus what could only, like the four-armed snake-looking dudes. They look really similar to those that the Dark Elder guys had way back when, that they only made one single model of. So yeah, like I said, they've got some interesting stuff. If you want something a little bit different, a little bit funky, do give them a look. All right, what else we got? Oh, something that I just literally showed off in the video the other day. Some of the popsicle orcs. They're not orcs, they're ugocs. I should remember that. So yeah, a little glossy. I probably need to go trim that down and maybe touch up some of the green. But I think from a distance, they're going to do fine. Well, they are big, but they're pretty nicely sized. When you start looking at other orcish models out there, it's not like they're going to be completely out of scale with some of the other stuff. I mean, the Wadroon still tower over them. Obviously, these guys have guns. The Wadroon have sticks and spears. But nevertheless, I think if you wanted to use them as like beast snagger proxies or something. So we got like the Rambo guy with the cigar and the headband. We've got codename Splatterhouse. I like this guy. I've said this before, but given a choice between the guy with the big gun or lots of blades, it's always the blades. Always the close combat guy. And to accompany codename Splatterhouse, we have codename Legendary Axe. And I can just hear the music in my head now. Yes, I grew up with a TurboGrafx 16. Like I said, nice models overall. I really enjoyed them. Must have, because like within a day I had a bunch of them painted. And I've got a few more from the video that was up the other day, almost finished as well. So kind of cool. All right, a random test model from Anvil Digital Forge. Quite nice for a really basic stripped down trooper type, which they have quite a bit of variety. And again, one of the nice things about Anvil stuff is it's totally modular with everything else they've put out, basically. I know the aliens they did a month or two back, not as much, but like most of the human stuff, you can totally just kit bash to your heart's content. Oh, speaking of humans, we need to have somebody to accompany those ugocs. And as somebody who spent plenty of time in the arcades in the 90s, yeah. Thumbs up to popsicles for this guy. Now, I admit, again, sloppy job on that skin, splotchy use of the Agrax. We can always clean that up later. I guess he's not that tall. I thought he was like a giant. And I know he's not arcade accurate colors, but nevertheless. So we got him done. Let's get all that stuff out of the way. All right. A rocket pig sculpt that I had been meaning to get around to for quite some time. I want to say he was like a winter warrior or something like that. I don't know, something about rocket pig stuff, especially like their FDM supportless models. Really, I don't know, I really like them. Especially like the human-sized ones, but the human-sized ones can get kind of samey if they're actually humans, so I don't print tons of those. But every now and then one strikes my fancy, like this guy right here. I don't know what's up with the base. This has been an issue for me every time I try to print their stuff. If you guys have any suggestions, see how it kind of like has that extra layer that flattens out on the bottom. Is there a way to not have that happen? If you know of any way, other than, you know, obviously not doing it on a resin printer and putting it on an FDM printer, that's probably the first choice. Again, here's another random Rocket Pig. Why do I have a bunch of Rocket Pig guys out right now? I think it was because I was comparing them with the Ugox. See? Not a huge size issue. I know they're much bigger than the GW stuff, but who uses regular boys these days anyways? Okay, moving on. Another blast from the past, at least from my past. Unit 9 had this figure. I have no idea what he's actually supposed to be called, but if you grew up reading manga and watching anime in the 90s, then yeah, it's absolutely a Hecatoncheires class cyborg from Appleseed by the often imitated and never reproduced Masamune Shiro. I tried to paint him up like the CG movie colors. Now, they did have some landmates, but unfortunately, I don't know, the proportions on the ones that Unit 9 did recently just didn't do it for me. Nobody's ever been able to match Shiro's artwork when it comes to landmates. Someday, maybe. Someday, I hope. And finally, to wrap things up, as promised, yet another Kingdom Death model. This one being, I believe, Wendy the Frozen Star. Now, again, awful job, and I'm seeing all kinds of little issues that I should have cleaned up, but I missed, and her eyes are frightening, and this one is kind of an anime-looking eye, and the other is way more normal. But that's what you get trying to paint things in little, hard-to-reach spots. I'm going to have to fix that glove of hers. I don't like that. She came out okay. Painting her outfit, on the other hand, was a significant pain. Having to have brushes thin enough to get in the cracks there, literally and so to speak. Obviously, I did not fully paint her with that cloak / cape thing she's wearing. I made sure to glue it on later. I was quite sad to find out that there was a sale while I was busy on the bus with kids on a field trip and missed out on the new stuff this week. Shame, shame, shame. But it is what it is, and it's not like I don't have a humongous backlog of Kingdom Death stuff anyways. So, nevertheless. Alright, I gotta say, for a super duper busy week, especially coming off of a million things going on the week before, not a bad haul for both of us, I must say. And if you're curious to find out about any of these models, if you aren't aware, we always have the links down below where you can go peruse all of these companies' catalogs, and I will gladly enable you to gleefully spend your hard-earned money on fun and interesting things. And if you are in such a mood to gleefully spend your hard-earned money on interesting things, then I might also point out that we do have a link to our Patreon down below, where, as always, your support is always appreciated. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. Say thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!